We respectfully acknowledge the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who are the traditional owners of the land on which we record this podcast, and recognise their continuing connection to the lands, waters, and community. We pay our respects to the Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures and to the elders past, present, and emerging. Hello and welcome to We'll Get It in Post. I'm your host Dom Hennequin and I'm here today with Amy Bryans.
Hello.
And Curtis Mason.
Hello everyone.
Hi, welcome back you two. It's really nice to see you again as we wrap up this Oscars season. It's been a long one. How's it been for you, Amy?
Yeah, I think it's been a great year. I haven't seen everything. But I have seen a lot, which is reflective of how full this Oscar season is. I feel like last year was a little bit lackluster and a bit thin in terms of the options and the variety available. So, yeah, I think it's been a great year. I felt like I've had some real excitement this year. So that's been great. Loved it.
Yeah, cool. Has there been a nominee acting or film-wise that has stood out to you that you're particularly excited about?
Honestly, maybe it's the millennial, teenage emo in me, but I am all about that controversial Kristen Stewart performance in Spencer. I thought she was iconic. I want her entire wardrobe. And yeah, probably like a lot of people, I was a big fan of good old Cumberbatch and Power of the Dog. So looking forward to seeing where those two go with it.
Yeah.
That's for me.
What about you, Curtis? How are you feeling about this season?
Look, I think that it's been a big season in terms of the amount of films nominated and performance nominated. I think when you've got Being the Ricardos as a big contender for those nominations, I think it's a bit of an indication of the quality of the work.
Why do you say that?
King Richard being in there, it's I don't like biographical films, biopics.
Don't look up. Please don't look up.
Don't look up.
Don't. Just don't.
There's really only a handful that I have really enjoyed. And there's been a few that I've probably wankily been like, oh, that was so great. But then thought about it later and I'm like, you know what? I don't think I really enjoyed it all that much. Yeah.
So you think it's a bit of a quantity over quality.
Yeah, it's a bit of a filler year. I think they're sort of just trying to pump in as much as they can. But there are a few standouts. Like June for me is just like that's going to go down in history. West Side Story was great. Power of the Dog was absolutely blew me away. I think it's there's a few good, there's a few bad. It's a medium year, I'd say.
Interesting.
Mid, as the young people would say at the moment. It was mid.
Right.
Oh boy.
Right.
Yeah, you're about 45, so I know that's probably.
Is there some sort of TikTok noise we need to edit on top of that, Amy, to make that sort of make a reference
boom.
there? Yeah. Okay. So firstly, are we all drinking? Have we all got a drink or a mug of something?
Yes.
Or because we're going to need it.
4 Pillars gin.
Yeah.
Got my elf of a mug.
Oh, goodness. Right. Because what does it say, Amy?
It says, if you think I'm wicked now, you should see me without my coffee. To say I'm even worse would be the understatement of the century. Without my morning joe, I am positively nasty. And honey, you don't want to see that.
You didn't read it in the right voice. Shouldn't it be like, if you think I'm wicked now, you should see me before my morning coffee?
Well, I'll leave the acting to the actors, Dom.
I love it. I think it's concise and I love it. Yeah.
I think it's tasteful. I think it's subtle.
And
it's really beautiful.
It should win an award for whoever.
Yeah.
That monkey.
It should win a screenplay award.
You know what?
For whoever
they should
wrote
try
that.
They should try and incorporate that into the new Wicked film adaptation. If you think I'm wicked now.
I editing these podcasts, I must say that the best episodes are usually, and it's the best moments in the episodes are usually right towards the end, and it's usually Curtis singing something. It's really quite something, and I think a montage will be coming sometime soon.
Tune in next season.
Tune in next season. Yeah. All right. Today we're going to go through most of the Oscar nominees, and look, it's going to become pretty evident that we may have missing a couple of these films. I'm not going to lie. Twist my arm, gun to the head, whatever other. But I think that we've got enough context to tell you who might win, who might not, and then some categories where, I don't know. I really don't know. I'll just pick a name at random.
Absolutely. I'll be turning to the Feinberg forecast for those ones. So,
But how much money have you got on some of these nominees this year, Curtis? I just want to make sure.
I haven't done that yet because my general rule is that I need to see them before I do it. So I have a sound judgment. So I have a sound judgment. So I haven't done that. I'm planning to do it this weekend. But you know what? I usually like to do it a little bit earlier because then you get the outliers, and you can usually see those coming. And then all of a sudden, everyone's talking about this particular film, and that happened with Parasite a few years ago. So,
yeah. Well, let's get into some of these nominees because that is something that is possibly happening potentially in the Best Picture race. So, look, let's start with the Best Picture today and go through them. So, the nominees for Best Picture, and we can tick off, what we've seen, what we haven't. Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. There's a lot of nominees this year. A pretty beefy bunch. Out of all of those, I mean, there's about 3 that I haven't seen. I still couldn't get to Belfast, couldn't see Nightmare Alley yet, and haven't seen Drive My Car. But the rest of them I've seen. And I think that for me and like for most of the season, The Power of the Dog seems to have been sort of leading the pack. But Coda seems to be emerging as a last minute, quite viable, having a pretty viable shot at walking away with Best Picture. I know, I'm not sure if either of you have seen Coda, but like what stood out to you this year in the Best Picture sort of nominees that you saw? Was there any themes, and what did you think? Like, has this sort of played out how you thought it would when you saw some of the films? Curtis, maybe let's start with you.
Can I just ask, sorry, Dom, did you say that you have seen King Richard?
I've seen King Richard, yeah.
Oh, interesting. I didn't realize you'd seen it. No, I that's one that I haven't seen. And I'm interested to, anyway, we can get to this later, but yeah, interested to talk.
Yeah, I only watched it a couple of nights ago. I was just trying to do a last minute dash to see as many of the ones remaining as possible. I'm kind of, like I thought it was a pretty interesting, like, actually interesting is not the right word. It wasn't very interesting, to be quite honest with you, but it was a satisfying look at those 2 characters, basically, and King Richard, himself. But yes, I didn't really know much about the story of Venus and Serena Williams and their background and their family and their dad and how they sort of came to be in the pro tennis world. So I found that part of it really interesting, and I think it's more of it really plainly is more of a vehicle for Will Smith. But I actually found it the Will Smith aspect of it after the first 10 to 15 minutes, it just started being a film that I was watching, more or less. And was it particularly groundbreaking or innovative in any way? No, not really. I'm not sure that it really has much of a shot as a Best Picture at winning that. But certainly it was a pretty good film, and there are some performances in there that were very impressive. That would be my sort of review of King Richard. There were a couple of those moments, although towards the end I was done. I was bone dry.
All right, wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Come on. Yeah.
Well, I mean, okay, all right. So did you ask me my opinion before?
Yeah, like what was
before
standing out to you? Maybe like what was standing out to you at the beginning when you started watching some of these films, and then now that we're kind of at the end, what do you think
Yeah.
is what's held up, what hasn't?
I think very early on, The Power of the Dog was flagged as a potential front runner for Oscar nominations. But you know those outliers that second time I've said outlier. You know those early, um, you know those early predictions that come out, and then I remember a few years ago it was The Hate You Give, and I worked for Val Morgan Cinema advertising at the time, and The Hate You Give ad came out and people were like, oh, straight away, looks like it's going to be an Oscar contender. So and then it didn't even get nominated for anything in the end. But
Oh,
I
thank
remember
God.
that
I was
happened.
I've never seen it. Never heard about it. I was like, oh no. Did it win? Did I miss
Yeah, yeah,
something?
yeah.
What year is it?
It was fine. It was all right. But no, that happened very early on with The Power of the Dog,
Yep.
and I sort of gave it that sort of treatment. I was like, oh God, everyone's talking about this Netflix film. I couldn't care less about watching some boring story about a rancher and but look, I was absolutely hooked. I was hook, line, and sinker with The Power of the Dog.
Mm.
And I truly believe that it has everything that is necessary to win that Best Picture title. I think that it has intrigue, it has the romance, it has the beauty, like those landscapes. And we've talked about
Mm.
this in the previous episode, but um, I just couldn't get enough of it. And it was such an interesting take on the Western that I haven't really ever seen before. Like, yes, there's beauty in Westerns, and we discussed that already, but just whatever this brought to it that I've never seen anywhere else, it was just absolutely mind blowing. And I really loved it. So that's my number one pick for Best Picture.
Mm.
Yeah, lovely. Amy, what are your thoughts? What sort of stuck out to you?
Um, well, I'm a big Paul Thomas Anderson fan, of course, as we all are. But once again, I don't think this is going to be his year.
Yeah,
He still hasn't won an Oscar, has he?
no,
He hasn't won for Best Picture.
No,
Has he won?
no,
Has he even won for Best Director?
no,
no, he's never won.
Yeah.
no.
Isn't that crazy? And you know, Phantom Thread was, the other most recent one, and that was absolutely amazing. Like one of my favorite Paul Thomas Anderson films to date. But it still lost out in what was in recent memory one of my favorite Oscars years, and that was a very competitive year. So that's okay. And yeah, so with that in mind, very similar. Then also, of course, West Side Story caught my attention. I didn't really think it was going to be, a front runner at all. But, Steven Spielberg directing a classic film, the ad was very Oscar baity. I was interested to see where that would go. Wouldn't it be amazing if a musical won Best Picture again? Like it's been such a long, long time. It's not going to happen, but would have been interesting. June, you could argue objectively would be a great winner, but films like June just don't win. It'll win in all of the other, technical categories.
Yeah,
Of course.
Oh, absolutely.
But you could argue as far as, large blockbuster action films go, it had its due. Like it was an amazingly well adapted screenplay from the book, had an amazing cast. But yeah, it's not going there. So for me, yeah, I think not to be repetitive, but it would be great to see Power of the Dog win. That would be my pick.
yeah.
Although I haven't seen it yet, I am looking forward to watching it. A bit of justice for Kenneth Branagh would be interesting to see. I'm looking forward to seeing Belfast, so I
Yeah.
reckon that's in with a shot as well.
Yeah, I thought that would, it's a black and white film. It's Kenneth Branagh, writing, directing, all of that. I thought the Oscars would be all over that. And it's really kind of underperformed, in some of the nominations and certainly in a lot of the sort of precursor awards to the Oscars. So I'm not sure we'll get to it later. Like it might be able to win one of the screenplay awards, but I'm really not sure if Belfast will really walk away with anything on Oscars night, which is like really the opposite of what I thought going into the season.
Yeah, I think it may win Best Original Screenplay potentially.
Yeah, but even that, it's the screenplay like. There's some competitors there as well, so it's nothing's so sure about. I think for Best Picture this year, getting to the sort of nominations, like Coda is the one that we're now starting to talk about, and it's hard to tell whether it's just a last minute, like every year at the last minute someone emerges, or a couple of awards happen. Like we've just had the kind of Critics' Choice Awards, the SAG Awards, and Coda won sort of the ensemble award at SAG. And there have been a few films in the past few years that have done something similar to what they could do, whether it's like a Spotlight or whether it's a film that sort of doesn't look as strong in every category, but can still walk away, Parasite can still walk away with Best Picture at the end of the day, because it's a broad, it's the whole Academy really that's voting for it, and it's a ballot as well. So it's not always going to be everyone's top passionate choice. Instead, it can be your second or third choice, whatever kind of is the most sort of agreed upon, that's not the worst film in the world option. A Green Book, for instance, can often end up walking away with it instead of something like Power of the Dog, which seems to have a lot of support, but perhaps could be a bit, polarizing to some people, and has, not that I think too much of this, but it has a pretty low IMDb rating for a Best Picture nominee. So I wonder if at the last minute there'll be a bit of an upset there, and I think it's really between those two now, which is not something I saw coming.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
definitely. I don't think Belfast is even in contention anymore. Whereas at the beginning of the Oscars season, maybe even a month ago, Belfast was like pegged.
Had a lot of hype.
Yeah.
So I think my likely winner is, I think I'm going to go with Coda. I'm going to go with Coda. And I think you two,
Two for Power of the Dog, one for Coda. Yeah.
Boom. Put a graphic here. All right. Let's get into it. Best Director. Yeah. So nominated this year, Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, Jane Campion, The Power of the Dog, Steven Spielberg, West Side Story, Ryusuke Hamaguchi for Drive My Car. I hope I've pronounced that right, but I'm pretty sure I didn't. Best Director. Is this even a race this year? It sort of seems to me that right from the beginning and with all the precursors, it's been Jane Campion's to lose for Power of the Dog. What do we all think?
Absolutely.
Jane or Death.
There's no chance anyone else can win this.
Jane or Death.
Yeah.
Burn the Oscars to the floor if she doesn't win.
Yeah, honestly, if Kenneth Branagh won over Jane, there'll be...
If Kenneth Branagh wins, I will grab his smarmy face and rub it in dirt.
Honestly.
Like, that shit-eating grin is dead to me.
But it is interesting because you do have 3 people in this category who are... Well, 2 people who are overdue for Oscars of any kind. So that's Paul Thomas Anderson and Kenneth Branagh. Been nominated many times before, but neither of them have won an Oscar. You've had Jane Campion, who has won a screenplay Oscar before, but never the director Oscar. And so she's somewhat overdue for that particular one, and perhaps, could have, should have won for the piano and many other things. So I wonder if that, plays into any voters' minds at all, that, do we just give PTA or Kenneth Branagh something? Was it that good? And how do you...
Yeah.
It's happened before, like, a director winning an Oscar.
Leo.
Yeah, but a director winning an Oscar for something that isn't really super duper going to win anywhere else. Certainly not Best Picture.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that often that happens.
I appreciate your sentiment, Don, but I highly doubt it. I don't think that they can upset people as much as they have in the past. Again, Green Book was a big lesson for the Academy, I think. And I think that like Jane Campion deserves that Oscar. If she did not get that Oscar, there would be hell to pay.
Interesting. Yeah.
Mm.
You agree, Amy?
Curtis never wanted to put things mildly.
Yeah, he means there would be hell to pay from Curtis Mason, and you don't know.
You don't know who I am.
He's got a mug's arrived. Oh, I wonder. Oh, it's got a long message on
What will
it.
the Wicked Cup have to say about this?
Yeah, you don't want to see Curtis. You don't want to see Curtis before his coffee. That's
absolutely
what I can tell
not.
you. I'm hearing three
that...
Jane Campions. What say you, Amy?
Yeah, no, I think she will win, but I don't think she will necessarily. I don't think it's a guaranteed win because there will be hell to pay if she doesn't. The Oscars has never been above undeserving winners in the past. Yeah, like no one's going to stop them if they want to give it to Kenneth Branagh. I don't think it'll happen. I think Jane will get it, but
really thrown him to the wolves in this segment. Yeah.
I love hate Kenneth Branagh so much.
Oh, yeah.
I love to hate him, but also I still kind of love him too sometimes.
Kenneth, if you're listening, we love you.
This one's for you, Kenneth. This one's for you, Kenny. But I will be going with Jane Campion, and I think the two of you are the same. All right, that's Jane Campion, best director. Let's make it happen.
Yeah, as badly as I want to see PTA win one day, I don't want it to be a sympathy. You're overdue.
Absolutely not.
I want it to be for the right thing. And Licorice Pizza was great, but There Will Be Blood and Phantom Thread were better.
Licorice Pizza is probably at the bottom of my PTA films, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was great, but it wasn't. Yeah, I'm impressed that it got as much love as it did at this year's kind of Oscar nomination. So it's interesting. All right, best director Jane Campion. Let's move on to best actress now. I think I've seen pretty much all of the films that are nominated here, except for Parallel Mothers. So the nominees for best actress. Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, Olivia Colman for The Lost Daughter, Penelope Cruz for Parallel Mothers, Nicole Kidman for Being the Ricardos, and Kristen Stewart for Spencer. I'm always fascinated. I don't know why, but Best Actress is always a category that I'm glued to for some reason. I don't know. I don't know whether it's just I appreciate actors, like women actors more, but I'm always like, really interested in making sure I see as many of the performances as possible, and interested to see who ends up winning and how the race goes. And this year is a real
Dump for the girls.
Yeah, I don't know why, but like this year has just been a really strange, competitive, chaotic year in that category, including even who ended up being nominated. No Lady Gaga, and like Penelope Cruz got in there. Jessica Chastain was a long shot for a little bit there.
Nicole just sneaking in there as always.
Yeah, well, what have we thought? Like at the start of the season, like what have you seen and what have you heard as the season's sort of gone on, even before Oscar nominations? And do you have any idea between the two of you, like who you think's going to win?
I have to admit, I haven't seen The Eyes of Tammy Faye, and I haven't seen Parallel Mothers. Parallel Mothers was one that I was really excited to see, but I've just been so busy lately. Oh, here we go. But I just haven't had a chance to watch it yet. But I have heard that Jessica Chastain pretty much has this in the bag, compared to someone like Kristen Stewart, whilst she did Kristen Stewart.
Hey.
She had an amazing performance, but I think there's just too much surrounding that.
They hate the film. They hate Spencer. The Academy, I
think there's too much surrounding Spencer as who they picked, the subject matter, the way it was told. I think there's just too much there that's negative. Whereas like from all accounts, and Dom, you could probably attest to this, Jessica Chastain does a wonderful job of portraying Tammy Faye, and it's a very unique take on a, biography. And but at the same time, I feel like we've potentially seen it before. Someone in a wig with freckles painted on their face. I don't know if there's anything special about that. There's no chance Nicole Kidman will win. Absolutely zero chance. Olivia Colman, she gave a good performance in The Lost Daughter. There was nothing remarkable about that.
Yeah,
that I
she's
haven't
kind of
seen.
already had a moment in recent
She's
memory.
had her moment, and so has Nicole. So I would say Jessica Chastain.
What do you reckon, Aim? How many of these have you seen? You've seen Spencer, definitely.
This is definitely my least confident category.
Yeah.
But I guess without having seen Tammy Faye, it does scream to me like, this is a mid-level movie that is being driven by a performance. This is a movie that is focusing very much on, going for that Oscar for its leading actor. Think like The Iron Lady, Meryl Streep. Like that was just like an Oscar driving campaign from Meryl Streep, and a movie second in some ways.
And very similar to the way that you set that up, Aim, very similar to Renee Zellweger and Judy.
Yeah, exactly. It's giving very much that. And and on top of that, it feels like the subject of the story is Hollywood film and television. The Oscars loves a movie about itself. If you look at the Oscars history, so yeah, I think it's pretty much a shoo-in. But I can't tell you how much, just based on my nostalgic love for Twilight and nostalgic and just like being an Aussie, like my love for the underdog, and just a bit of a weird. I just think Kristen Stewart's such a weirdo, and I think it's really cool that she's been given this opportunity. It's kind of it's been interesting with Batman as well to watch both of these leading actors come back out into the spotlight in these sort of artsy, sort of divisive films. When their careers started in pretty much the most sort of mainstream blockbustery teen heartthrob way as possible. So that's been kind of weird to watch that happen at the same time. But yeah, I really liked Spencer a lot. And I really loved her performance a lot. I thought it was super weird. And that would be iconic for me.
Yeah. I think
so it's not I think it's in my dreams.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. So, I think it's quite, I've got to say, like, it is baffling to me. Like, if we flash back to maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, it would be, completely, it would be wild to hear how many people are now like, Jessica Chastain is the front runner and is a lock to win for the eyes of Tammy Faye. Like that's how quickly the best actress race has changed and how volatile it's been all season, because
after film that no one has seen as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like it came out a while ago. It was in cinemas and like no one saw it basically. But it wasn't too long ago that Nicole Kidman was the front runner, was like almost
and
a
now
lock.
I'd say she's in last place.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be. Here's what I'd say. So I did say a while ago, I think maybe off the air, that after I saw Tammy Faye, but also like it is an Oscar performance. That is the kind of performance that the Oscars typically go for, but it's also really good performance is what I would say. She's got and I think like if we talk about makeup as well, there could be 2 Oscars in there for it, because they do marry together really, really well and create that performance. But Jessica Chastain is also an actress who is yet to receive her Oscar due. She's been nominated a couple of times before. She is a very good actress, but she's also the past few roles that she's sort of been noted for, Zero Dark 30 and Molly's Game and some of those, her performances are quite quiet, almost like Nicole Kidman, like a little bit like, and this is the opposite of that. This is a little bit more like what she did in The Help, but it really is her swinging for the rafters. It's a huge performance, but to portray a huge personality and in a setting that, Andrew Garfield does a really good performance in there as well. It all, the film and the performance marry together really well. And even though it's not a groundbreaking film, I think it's a very worthy performance to win, and so could likely win. But I also would not count out an upset from a Nicole Kidman. I just wouldn't. And also, a lot of people are completely counting out Kristen Stewart, but for how wild this season would be, wouldn't it be something to have her win the Oscar at the end of the day? So I think that it would be really rightful and good. I'm not really wanting to see Nicole Kidman win a second Oscar for something that I thought was, passable performance. Penelope Cruz, I've heard really great things, but she's got an Oscar. Olivia Colman has an Oscar. Kristen Stewart, the nomination is really the award for her. And Jessica Chastain, I feel like it's her time. So I'd really like to see her win. So I think ultimately she's my pick. All right, next up we've got Best Actor. So we've got Javier Bardem for being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch for The Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield, Tick, Tick, Boom, Will Smith for King Richard, and Denzel Washington for The Tragedy of Macbeth. Let's do a little, what have you seen here? Who should win? Who will win here? Maybe Aim. Let's start with you. You've seen Power of the Dog, and Tick, Tick, Boom. So
I've seen nothing. No, yes, and Tick, Tick, Boom.
What's a
Tick,
film?
Tick, Boom. What are we here for? So surely our bestie, right? Surely bestie Cumberbatch for me, but that's coming from a place of having only seen 2 of these films. Once again, a little bit similar to Chastain. For me, like Tick, Tick, Boom, sort of, the only thing that really stood out to me about it was Garfield's performance, but even then I don't think it's going to win. So that's my take on that.
Yeah, interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Cody? Who do you want to win, and who do you think is going to win?
I would like Benedict Cumberbatch to win, but I think I'm going to say it here.
Oh.
Okay, it's going to be a very tight race between Will Smith and Andrew Garfield.
Interesting.
Andrew.
Oh yeah.
Why do you say that?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a very tight race between them, but I am going to say Andrew Garfield.
Wow.
Whoa.
I watched the film and I didn't enjoy it really particularly that much.
We had a good time.
And that's how you know it's going to win the Oscar.
And that's just getting jealous about these people that have become famous actors while I
sit at home crushing your wicked cup.
I mean, it's definitely. It would definitely be a choice. It would make a lot of people happy if Andrew Garfield won. He's a fan favorite.
I don't even know if it would make a lot of people. It would. Sorry, it would make all the TikTok generation with the TikTok generation with Spider-Man. Now that there's sort of a renaissance of love for Andrew Garfield, but I think that his transformation, the way that he characterized, someone that was so very unknown. People know Rent, but they don't really know him, Jonathan Larson. I just think that, and also fucking, can we not make movies about women and have the title of the film King Richard and make it centered around their fathers? Can we stop that, please? I'm sure you did a lot for those daughters, those women, but I don't need a fucking man to show me how his daughters have been successful. It's their fucking achievement. You know what I mean? No,
Fuck off, Will Smith.
Yeah, I'm sick
Stop
of it.
annoying everyone.
Andrew Garfield. Yeah. No, Andrew Garfield.
Don't you think Cumberbatch's performance was quite transformative too, though?
Absolutely, I do. Yeah, absolutely, I do. But I think based on previous award ceremonies and commentary online, I think that it's a tight race between Will and Andy.
Okay, let's go.
Wow, I'm shocked. I'm absolutely shocked. Look, yeah, I think for me, I would. Well, look, I've seen King Richard now, and it's a pretty good performance. But what I found was, and maybe it speaks to the quality of the rest of the film, but after about the first 10 to 15 minutes, I stopped noticing the performance as much, and it just became an ingredient of the film as a whole. And maybe that's good, but usually when it's an Oscar vehicle, you're reminded every 5 seconds there's a big grandstanding moment where you're reminded that Meryl Streep is playing the Iron Lady. There were meant to be those moments in King Richard, but it all just sort of like faded together, and I became more interested in the character of Venus Williams and the daughters in general. So I thought that was interesting for a vehicle that seems to be so set on winning for its actor. And it still does look very likely that Will Smith will win. He's won every precursor, basically, even the BAFTA, which is somewhere where if Benedict was going to win, he would probably have won the BAFTA.
And Andrew Garfield, realistically.
Yeah, exactly. So,
yeah.
I think, it's Garfield's like second nomination. I think it's Benedict's second nomination as well. But I think if anyone's going to upset Will Smith, it's Benedict, in my opinion. Yeah. But I don't think that we'll have an Anthony Hopkins, Chadwick Boseman situation this year. It seems like it's very, very likely that Will Smith will win. Yeah, and that's fine. That's fine. But yeah, I think personally, I really, really appreciated Benedict's performance. Yeah. And Javier Bardem. I mean, that was really, he's very lucky he got nominated. They must have liked being the Ricardos when they were nominating these films, because yeah, I'm very shocked that he got in here.
Same.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's one of those things though, where once an actor has been recognized by an awards group, they then after that will continue to nominate them just based on, I think, a level of bias, but also just a level of, well, we've acknowledged them before and therefore they are good enough and we are the deciders of what's good enough. So we're going to continue nominating this person even when they don't necessarily deserve it, just to really dig our heels in that we made the right choice the year they won. And I don't think that's an Academy specific thing. That just seems to be in a bit of an awards bias that happens.
Yeah. Also, let's not forget who funded Being the Ricardos. It was produced by Amazon Studios. So Jeff Bezos has deep pockets. I wouldn't put that past them.
Jeffrey Bezos.
There you go. So does Netflix, though. So
I'm on Jeffrey. You can do it.
Yeah. Fair enough. Fair point. Yeah, you've got like a few streaming options here as well, actually, because you've got Denzel for Apple, Garfield and Cumberbatch for Netflix. If you use promo code,
you'll get it in post. You get $10 off your
if you use promo code, you'll get it in.
Netflix can get fucked. Netflix made me sit through a 4-hour Martin Scorsese film. Right. It nominated Don't Look Up, which has like 55% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'm not here for any of this.
I'm out. Okay. All right. Okay. No, I agree. Wholeheartedly agree. Let's move on to supporting actress now. We've got a couple of wild nominees in here, I gotta be honest. Jessie Buckley.
There's only one winner, baby.
There is only one winner.
There is only one winner. Let's cut to the chase.
Yeah, Judi Dench for Belfast. We've got Jessie Buckley for The Lost Daughter, Ariana DeBose for West Side Story, Judi Dench for Belfast, Kirsten Dunst for The Power of the Dog, and Anjanou Ellis for King Richard. Listen, there's not much of a conversation to have about who's going to win here.
Ariana DeBose or nothing.
Yeah, she has won everything. She's won every precursor. She's storming to that Oscar, and it's quite a remarkable rise for someone who was in the ensemble of Hamilton only 5-6 years ago, something like that. It's so cool to see a theatre Broadway person just be completely embraced by the film community for her performance in something. I think it's pretty remarkable, and it's a pretty undeniable performance. But I'm really, really happy to see Kirsten Dunst in there, because I think she's been due for some acknowledgement by the Academy for, a whole body of work. Is that, I mean, are we all set on Ariana DeBose
All
winning,
in
and do we think
agreement,
it's we think it's the right thing?
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's the right thing. Yeah,
Triple
no doubt
threat,
about it.
queen, icon, legend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we can't forget Judi Dench and her fine work in Belfast, where I assume she's putting on a light Irish accent. I'm not sure, Northern Irish accent. I don't know. I haven't seen it, but I can speculate. I mean, don't shoot me. And Jessie Buckley, I think, I was really delighted to see her nominated in this category for her work in The Lost Daughter, but it was quite like a shock to see, someone playing the shadow version, essentially like a younger version of the main character, and both of them get nominated for their versions of it, that were clearly their own interpretations as well. It didn't really look like I don't think she spent any time with, seeing Olivia Colman's version of that same character. So it's pretty impressive that she's done this and gotten all the way to the Oscars without really getting nominated anywhere else significant. So tip of the cap to those two. Get it, as Amy says. Let's go to supporting actor. This race has changed since last we really spoke about this. So the nominees are Kieran Hines for Belfast, Troy Kotzer for Coda, Jesse Plemons for The Power of the Dog, J.K. Simmons for Being the Ricardos, and Cody Smith McPhee for The Power of the Dog. When last we spoke, Cody Smith McPhee looked like he was on a pretty safe and unstoppable path to winning the supporting actor Oscar for The Power of the Dog for his fantastic performance, I think. Very subtle, but very, very good in The Power of the Dog. And that since maybe it was the Critics' Choice Awards or the SAG Awards, the whole race has completely changed, and Troy Kotzer is the front runner to win the Oscar for Coda now. Did this surprise anyone? Have y'all seen Coda?
I honestly can't comment on Coda and Troy's performance, but from all accounts, it's phenomenal. I can't
be the front runner.
I think that if he is doing a performance as good as they're saying, I think that he deserves it. So Cody was great. There's no denying it, but I think that it's, from the sounds of things, this Troy Kotzer has got it in the bag.
Yeah, it's interesting. Would I be correct in saying that this is the first category we've talked about so far beyond Best Picture where we're seeing Coda come up again? Yeah,
I think that
hasn't had any,
and possibly a screenplay one as well. I think that it's been a surge, a last minute sort of surge, because Coda, Coda's an Apple TV production, and it came out ages ago, before a lot of the films that have ended up being nominated came out. So it's been out for a while, and maybe that's why it wasn't such a huge, exciting new entrant into the conversation, and didn't have that same sort of buzz about it as some of the films that have come out a bit more recently had. But when the nominations came out for the Academy Awards, it started to seem like, well, there is some group of people in these branches that did see it and are acknowledging it, and are really seeing something special in it. And it's compared to something like Power of the Dog, Coda as a picture, and some of the other sort of qualities it has, is a very easy to watch, heartwarming film, and yet it's also breaking some ground and doing, something different, so that you're not getting the guilt that you would get watching a Green Book and going, oh, I kind of like this. Maybe I'll vote for this.
Yeah.
This made me feel fuzzy.
Yeah, it's warm and fuzzy, but it's also, you're also watching something that is really cool to watch, and learn about the lifestyle of a family of people that are deaf, and then their one daughter who is not deaf and is their interpreter, and also discovers that she can sing, but she never knew she could sing because the rest of the family are deaf. You know what I mean? So it's a sort of,
good hook.
It's got a bit of everything that you need in there to make it something easy to watch, special, heartwarming, but also, interesting and a little bit groundbreaking. So, I think acknowledging that, they're going to want to do that.
Yeah, for sure. It's always very interesting to me when a picture that is not really present in a lot of categories then pops up in just the best picture category. And I'm not saying that films that are in that category necessarily need to have lots of nominations to be deserving. I don't think it has to be that way, but for me, the best picture and the director category should be generally acknowledgement of, excellence in a number of areas, and then that is therefore cumulative in the best picture, best director nomination. And in particular, it always really frustrates me when a film is nominated for best picture, but then not for best director. That to me shows a bit of a clear, there's often a bit of a disconnect or a bit of a missing piece in how sort of instrumental a director is in making the achievement of a film. Like, how can you possibly nominate? You see actors for this one film and whatnot, all these different categories get nominated in all areas, and then not best director. And it's like, what?
Did the film make itself? June is a
did
great
the film make
example.
itself?
But Code is a great
Did
example.
the actors act? Yeah, exactly. Do the actors cast themselves? Do the actors get to that performance on their own? Like, no. But maybe as a director, that's just a personal bias and offense that I take.
Yeah, sounds a little. Sounds like you've been burnt before, Amy.
No, not at all. No,
So,
that sounded loaded. I actually haven't been burnt before, but I know that if it happened to me,
sweetie,
I would be pissed.
it's fine. We believe you. All right, we're here to help you.
I would be pissed.
So Troy Kotzer is a bit of a lock there. I think it was a delight to see that Jesse Plemons was nominated. That was a last minute, what? Like a couple of people were talking about it before the Oscar nominations came out, and it was like, no, that's not going to happen. No one's, he's a great actor and he's done a string of great projects, but like it felt a bit like wishful. And then Oscars morning, it was like, oh, what do you know? That was random. I
think he's good. I wouldn't have picked him for it, just compared to the other two that are nominated. He wouldn't have been my choice, but he's quietly strong. Definitely.
It's not it's the role. It's not the role that's going to win in that screenplay. And I think J.K. Simmons, just a little honorable mention there. Good, nice to see that they're really acknowledging Being the Ricardos. Such a great film that might not walk away.
J.K. Simmons was trash in that movie. He just does the same character over and over again now, and people think it's good. It's just like, I just talk like this, and then everybody likes me. Oh.
I'm here for it. To be honest, if he never does anything else again, I'll be happy. Yeah. He's got something that's good, and he runs he runs.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, of course, you're absolutely right. But hey, if that's
get me the Spider-Man. Is that him? Is that guy?
We only need one J.K. Simmons. He can just keep doing that. And Whiplash, that's got to be one of the best films of the 2010s. Like, you can literally show that film to anyone and they'll love it. Like, and he is.
And everyone loves the yellow M&M.
I would vote for Curtis's impression of J.K. Simmons to win an Oscar. So that's the campaign I'm starting it
J.K.
I probably
now.
couldn't even do it again.
J.K.
Oh, hang on. Oh, no, I don't think I could. What are you talking about? Yeah, no, I can't do it.
I'm sold. Look, I don't care. I'm buying it.
Being J.K. Simmons is harder than it looks, Curtis.
Yeah, exactly. How does it
I
feel?
know that. I know.
Yeah, anyone can do it. Proceeds to not do it.
Yeah. Shame on you. Let's move on to the final two categories we're gonna talk about tonight, and that is the screenplay categories. So first up, best adapted screenplay. We've got Coda by Sean Heder, Drive My Car by Ryusuke Hamaguchi and Takamasa Oi, Dune by John Spites, I think it is, Denis Villeneuve and Eric Roth, The Lost Daughter by Maggie Gyllenhaal, and The Power of the Dog by Jane Campion. Yeah.
Pronounced Gyllenhaal. Gyllenhaal, actually.
Yeah, cool. Can you say that as J.K. Simmons, please? Because otherwise I won't.
Gyllenhaal.
Get me a photo of Gyllenhaal.
Parker, get me a photo.
So I think that this race has gotten a little bit interesting at the last minute here. What do we all think? Are we all Power of the Dog? Are we Coda? Anyone feeling passionate about anything?
I can't make a comment on an adaptation of something I haven't read the original source material of. Like, I find that hard. The only one that I'm familiar with in this category in terms of its original source material is Dune.
I don't think it matters though. I doubt the Academy is sitting there going, "Oh, I've read the original." They're going,
"Yeah, it's a good film." It's asking if it's a good script. I get that.
Yeah.
But it's still, I think, something to be said for, like a film like Dune. Making a good film out of Dune is an effort. Personally, like, I think that is a very significant task. It won't win. I potentially win. Considering that Code is in this category.
And the Power of the Dog.
Yeah. And they're the big front runners for
but also the main category. Also the fact that Dune is a part 1 of 2 or 3,
or so 1. No.
Are you saying like it could have its Lord of the Rings moment and get all its dues in its last film?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I mean, potentially, but they would never award it the best adapted screenplay Oscar. No. As a part 1.
Nah.
Unfortunately.
No, that's fine. It's got to be Power of the Dog or Coda, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I think the momentum's going in Coda's way at this point. I would have thought Jane Campion would have been an absolute lock for this. She may still she's still a very strong chance to win, but I wouldn't be surprised if Coda actually won this and then won Best Picture as well.
I'm gonna lock in Power of the Dog.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll see. I hope J.K. Simmons is presenting this award. All right. And finally tonight, Parker, give me the...
You're just going to keep running this one home, aren't you, Kurt?
Yeah.
Give me the envelope. And finally, Best Original Screenplay. We have the nominees are Belfast by Kenneth Branagh, Don't Look Up by Adam McKay and David Sirota, King Richard by Zach Balin, Licorice Pizza by Paul Thomas Anderson, and The Worst Person in the World by Eskil Vogt and Joachim Trier. Probably really murdered those names, but oh well. Parker, give me those names. What do we reckon?
I think it could be Belfast, but I hope it's Don't Look Up.
Vote with your heart, Amy.
Yeah. This will be Belfast, and you know what? This will be his redemption because he doesn't get the Best Director, he doesn't get Best Picture, which he was probably promised early on.
Absolutely.
But he'll get his, He'll get his
Throw
best.
Kenneth Branagh a bone.
Yeah.
He's done everything in this film to just try and clinch something. He wants something.
Yeah.
And
By all
And
accounts,
then-
it's a great film.
Yeah. And then he'll probably do a Quentin Tarantino and say something along the lines of, I don't want to be a best director. I want to be the storyteller. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
can't wait for that
Kenneth
to go down well.
Kenneth Branagh's had a hard life. He's never had a thing in this world. Let's give him this. Yeah. In another year, Kenneth Branagh could have in another year, I think Kenneth Branagh could have won like a lot more than what he will.
Yeah.
For this film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. Look, I think that it's between PTA and Kenneth Branagh.
Yeah.
I think maybe Kenneth
I'm hoping
Branagh.
for Don't Look Up. I really am.
Yeah, we know you are, Amy.
I'm giving my head to Belfast, but my heart to Don't Look Up.
Yeah, I'm going to go for Belfast as well. I think we just got to give Kenneth Branagh something. Come on. He did a lot of work on this one, and PTA will win for something else.
Oh, absolutely.
So,
I will end up seeing The Worst Person in the World. It's intrigued me ever since I saw the trailer.
Yeah, me too. I really want to see that.
I'm going to say if the listeners aren't done with us, the Zoom timer is done with us on 2 minutes and 39 seconds.
Yeah, honestly, I think we're done. We're done for the Oscars season. We're done for this Zoom session. We're done. You're done. You're done. You're done. And you're done. Thank you so much for joining us for this first little season, this Oscars season of We'll Get It in Post. We've really enjoyed having your company. I hope that you'll subscribe on YouTube and on any podcast app that you use so that you can keep in touch with us and make sure that you get the next episode, whenever that will be, right into your feed. But for now, I'm Dom Hennequin, Amy Bryans, Curtis Mason. Thank you so much for joining me again this week, and we'll see you very, very soon. And until then, what's our catchphrase? Until then, remember...
In case I don't see you, good afternoon, good evening.
Good evening.
And
good night.
Bye-bye.
And
let's
Parker.
Parker! Let me sing a bit of West Side Story to you.
Oh, guys.
The Jets are gonna have their day tonight. Tonight.
Ariana's going to have her day on Monday.
Tonight. Tonight.